golden age of myth, where gods walked among mortals and heroes, shaped the destiny of nations, few names echoed louder than Theseus, the warrior, the king, the slayer of the Minotaur, and the tragic son of Athens. But Theseus was more than just a hero. His life is a tale of brilliance and blood, justice and deception, triumph and tragedy. Join us now as we follow his epic path, from his mysterious birth to the day he vanished from the earth, betrayed and forgotten. The tale of Theseus begins not in Athens, but in Troezen, a small city across the Saronic Gulf. Here, Aegeus, the king of Athens, had journeyed after failing to produce an heir. He consulted the oracle of Delphi, who, in cryptic fashion, warned him, "Do not loosen the bulging wineskin's mouth until you return to Athens." Confused, Aegeus visited his friend King Theseus of Troezen, a wise and cunning man who interpreted the oracle in his own way and saw an opportunity. That night, Theseus plied Aegeus with wine and offered him his daughter, Aethra. Aegeus lay with her, and later that same night, so too, according to some myths, did Poseidon, god of the sea. From this union came Theseus, a child born of both mortal and divine blood. Before returning to Athens, Aegeus hid a sword and sandals under a large boulder. "When the boy is strong enough to lift this stone," Aegeus told Aethra, "send him to me in Athens." As Theseus came of age, he proved strong, intelligent, and bold. When he was finally able to lift the boulder, he retrieved the sword and sandals, tokens of his royal lineage, and began his perilous journey to Athens. Unlike others who traveled by sea, Theseus chose the land route, infamous for its bandits and monsters. Along the way, he completed 6 labors, each more dangerous than the last. Periphetes, the club-bearer, a brute who crushed skulls with a bronze club. Theseus defeated him and kept the club for himself. Sinis, the pine bender. This bandit tied travelers to pine trees and catapulted them to their deaths. Theseus turned the trap on Sinis himself. The Crommyonian sow, a monstrous boar terrorizing the countryside. Theseus slayed it, bringing peace to the region. Siren, the foot washer, a villain who forced travelers to wash his feet, then kicked them into the sea to be eaten by a giant turtle. Theseus flipped the tables, hurling Scyron to his doom. Cercyon the wrestler, a king who challenged passers-by to deadly wrestling matches. Theseus bested him with both strength and skill. Procrustes the stretcher, a sadist with a bed he forced victims to fit by cutting or stretching their limbs. Theseus gave him a taste of his own medicine. Theseus didn't just conquer villains, he brought justice, setting a precedent for the values he would later represent as a king. When Theseus finally arrived in Athens, his father Aegeus did not recognize him. The king had since married Medea, the cunning sorceress who had fled Corinth after aiding Jason and the Argonauts. Sensing a threat to her influence, Medea tried to poison Theseus. But just as the cup touched his lips, Aegeus recognized the sword, the same one he had hidden years before. Father and son were reunited, and Medea fled into exile once again. The peace did not last. Athens was burdened by a terrible debt to King Minos of Crete. Years before, Aegeus had sent his son Androgeus to Athens, where he had died under suspicious circumstances. In revenge, Minos demanded that every 9 years, 7 Athenian boys and 7 girls be sent to Crete to be sacrificed to the Minotaur, the monstrous child of Queen Pasiphae and a sacred bull imprisoned in the labyrinth designed by Daedalus. When the next tribute was due, Theseus volunteered himself to end the terror. In Crete, he met Ariadne, daughter of Minos, who fell deeply in love with him. She gave him a ball of thread, the famous clue, to help him navigate the labyrinth. Deep within the maze, Theseus found the Minotaur and slayed the beast with his bare hands. He then led the Athenian youth to freedom, using the thread to retrace their steps. Fleeing Crete, Theseus abandoned Ariadne on the island of Naxos. Whether out of divine command or his own coldness, the deed would haunt his legacy. Theseus had promised his father that, if he survived, he would return with white sails. But he forgot, or perhaps chose to leave the black sails raised. From the cliffs of Athens, Aegeus saw the ship and believed his son was dead. In despair, he threw himself into the sea. That sea has borne his name ever since, the Aegean. Theseus became king, but his path would only grow more complex. As king of Athens, Theseus reformed the city, uniting its scattered villages into a single state. He instituted democracy-like reforms, held the first Panathenaic Games, and was revered as a wise ruler. But Theseus was also drawn to impossible adventures. He helped Hercules capture the Amazons and even abducted their queen, Antiope, with whom he had a son, Hippolytus. Later, with his friend Pirithous, he attempted to kidnap Persephone from the underworld, a hubristic act punished by the gods. He was trapped in Hades for years, only rescued when Hercules descended. Upon return, Theseus found himself rejected by his people. His popularity had waned. Political enemies rose. His son, Hippolytus, would eventually be cursed and killed due to tragic misunderstandings and divine interference. Theseus fled Athens and sought refuge on the island of Skyros. But even here, fate had not finished with him. The king of Skyros, fearing Theseus might seize power, led him to a cliff under the guise of hospitality and pushed him to his death. Theseus, the great hero of Athens, died not in battle nor in glory, but betrayed and forgotten. Centuries later, the Athenians, at the urging of the oracle, recovered his bones and built a shrine, the Theseus, in his honor. Theseus was a man of contradictions, noble and cruel, wise and reckless, heroic and deeply flawed. His life embodied the tragic beauty of Greek mythology, the idea that even the greatest of men are not spared from the whims of fate and the flaws of their own nature. His memory would outlive empires, whispered in poems and carved into stone. And in the city he once ruled, he remains a symbol of Athenian courage, justice, and tragic greatness. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the myth of Theseus, consider subscribing and leaving a comment. Who should we cover next? The cunning Odysseus, the doomed Oedipus, or the mighty Heracles? Let us know below.